The ultimatum. The observation deck of Bastion 7 offered a panoramic view of the nebula, swirling clouds of cosmic dust illuminated by distant stars. Commander Ilara Kane stood motionless, her reflection ghost-like against the reinforced viewport. At 38, her once jet-black hair was now streaked with premature silver, her face bearing the lines of someone who had carried the weight of humanity's survival for too long. "Commander," a voice called from behind. "They're here." Kane didn't turn. "How many, Lieutenant Chen?" 47 capital ships, ma'am. The Solon flagship is among them." She closed her eyes briefly. "The Council is waiting." "Yes, Commander." Kane nodded and followed Chen through the corridors of Bastion 7. The last major human outpost, what had once been a mining station, had been hastily converted into a military headquarters and refugee center after the fall of Earth. The station groaned under the strain of housing 5 times its intended capacity. 70,000 refugees and 5,000 military personnel crammed into every available space. The corridor walls bore the marks of hasty modifications, exposed conduits, and mismatched hull plates, testifying to the desperate nature of their situation. Children's drawings were taped to walls in some sections, fading memories of a home planet most of them would never see again. The council chamber fell silent as Kane entered. Around a battered table sat the 6 remaining admirals and 3 civilian representatives, all that remained of human leadership. Admiral Takahashi, the most senior among them at 70, nodded gravely. "They're demanding our surrender," he said without preamble. "The Empress herself sent the message." Kane took her seat as the holographic display flickered to life, showing the tactical situation. The Solon Empire's fleet of crystalline ships had formed a blockade around Bastion 7's star system. Their biomechanical vessels pulsed with an eerie internal light, like predators circling wounded prey. "Play the message," Kane ordered. The hologram shifted, and the image of Empress Vexa appeared. Tall and elegant, she appeared almost human except for her iridescent skin and eyes like liquid mercury. Her voice was melodious, almost hypnotic. "People of Earth, or what remains of you. This is Empress Vexa of the Solon Imperium. Your resistance has been admirable but futile. In 18 months, you have lost Earth and 17 colonies. Your military forces are reduced to a handful of outdated vessels. Your situation is hopeless." The Empress's expression shifted to what might have been pity on a human face. "I offer terms of surrender. Lay down your arms, and your people will be permitted to live as a protectorate species. Resist, and I will erase what remains of humanity from the galaxy. You have 24 hours to respond." The message ended, leaving the council chamber in silence. "Well," said Dr. Amelia Santos, head of the Civilian Council, "she's not wrong about our situation." Kane studied the tactical display, her mind calculating odds she already knew were impossible. Bastion 7 had 15 functional warships, outdated cruisers and frigates salvaged from various defeats. Against 47 Solon capital ships, they wouldn't last 20 minutes. "What options do we have?" asked Admiral Takahashi, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. The silence that followed confirmed everyone's fears until Colonel Marcus Rivera, head of intelligence, cleared his throat. "There is one possibility." All eyes turned to him. "Operation Nightfall," Rivera said quietly. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Operation Nightfall was little more than a desperate rumor, a contingency plan so classified that most people in the room had only heard whispers. "That's a myth," Admiral Chen scoffed. "A bedtime story to help us sleep at night." "It's real," Rivera insisted, his gaze steady. "And it's our only chance." Kane looked between them. "What exactly is Operation Nightfall?" Rivera tapped his security badge against the console. The holographic display changed, showing a distant star system deep in uncharted space. When the war began, Fleet Admiral Harrison initiated a black project. He secretly diverted resources, ships, and personnel to a hidden location beyond the edge of known space. That's impossible. Admiral Chen protested. We would have noticed. The resources required were substantial, Rivera agreed, but Harrison was persuasive. 20% of Earth's shipyards were secretly relocated before the fall. They've been working continuously for 2 years. Kane leaned forward. And they built what, exactly? Rivera's fingers danced across the console again. The display zoomed in on massive construction facilities orbiting a gas giant. 200 supercarriers, each carrying enough firepower to match 10 of our standard battle cruisers, with advanced shield technology reverse-engineered from captured Solon vessels. The room erupted in disbelief. Kane raised a hand, silencing them. If this fleet exists, why haven't they helped us before now? She demanded. Because they weren't ready, Rivera replied. And because the moment they reveal themselves, the Empress will throw everything she has at them. It had to be an all-or-nothing gambit. Kane studied Rivera's face. You've been in contact with them. Rivera nodded slowly. Harrison died 6 months ago. His successor, Admiral Zhang, sent a quantum-encrypted message last week. The fleet is ready. For the first time in years, Kane felt a dangerous emotion stirring in her chest. Hope. What's the plan? She asked. We need to draw the Empress's forces into a specific configuration, Rivera explained. The Nightfall fleet will emerge from multiple jump points, catching her Armada in a 3-dimensional pincer movement. Kane's tactical mind immediately grasped the strategy. You want to use Bastion 7 as bait? Yes, Rivera confirmed. We make our stand here, fight hard enough to convince the Empress to commit her reserves. When the bulk of her fleet is engaged, the Nightfall fleet strikes. And if this miracle fleet doesn't show up, Dr. Santos asked. Then we die as we would have anyway, Kane said flatly. The council chamber fell silent again, each person wrestling with their thoughts. Kane stared at the holographic display, watching the menacing shapes of the enemy fleet surrounding their position. We need to vote, Dr. Santos said finally. One by one, the council members cast their votes. It was unanimous. They would make their stand at Bastion 7. As the meeting adjourned, Kane remained behind, studying the star map. Colonel Rivera approached, his steps measured. There's something else you should know, Commander, he said quietly. Admiral Zhang requested specifically that you coordinate the defense of Bastion 7. He said Harrison always spoke highly of your tactical abilities. Kane looked up, surprised. She had met Fleet Admiral Harrison only once, briefly before the fall of Earth. I'll do my best, she promised. You'll need this. Rivera handed her a small quantum communicator. Direct line to the Nightfall fleet. The encryption changes every 30 seconds. Kane accepted the device, feeling its weight in her palm. Get some rest, Commander, Rivera advised. The next 24 hours will determine the fate of our species. Kane returned to the observation deck, the quantum communicator heavy in her pocket. The Solon fleet had spread out, surrounding Bastion 7 in a display of overwhelming force. Their crystalline ships refracted the nebula's light in hypnotic patterns, beautiful and terrifying. Her comm unit beeped. Commander, we've received a request from Hangar Bay 4. A child wants to speak with you. Kane frowned. A child? Yes, Mom. A girl named Lily. She says she has something important to show you. Curiosity piqued, Kane made her way to the hangar bay. Among the refugee shelters hastily erected in the cavernous space, a small girl of perhaps 7 years waited, clutching a drawing. Commander Kane. The girl's eyes widened. You really came. Kane knelt to the child's level. I'm told you have something important for me, Lily. The girl nodded solemnly and held out her drawing. It showed crude stick figures standing on what appeared to be a large ship, facing off against crystalline shapes. Above the stick figures, written in a child's uneven script, were the words, "Humans win." My daddy was on Earth when the bad aliens came, Lily said quietly. Before he sent me away, he told me that humans never give up. He said we always find a way. Kane felt her throat tighten. Your daddy was very wise. Lily, are we going to win, Commander? Kane studied the child's drawing, then looked into her hopeful eyes. We're certainly going to try. She returned to her quarters with the drawing tucked safely in her pocket. Sleep eluded her as she reviewed battle plans and contingencies, none of which seemed adequate against the overwhelming force arrayed against them. At 600 hours, Kane stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, Bastion 7's largest remaining warship. The 24-hour deadline was approaching. Open a channel to the Solon flagship, she ordered. The view screen flickered, and Empress Vexe appeared, her mercury eyes studying Kane with cold curiosity. Commander Kane, have you come to deliver your surrender? No, Empress. I've come to offer you a chance to withdraw your forces. A ripple of colors passed beneath Vex's translucent skin. Amusement, perhaps, or disbelief. You are either very brave or very foolish. Humanity will not bow, Kane said firmly. We will not surrender. Such defiance, even at the end. Vexa tilted her head. Your species is fascinating in its stubbornness. Tell me, Commander, what gives you the courage to refuse me when you must know you cannot win? Kane met the Alien Empress's gaze. Because humanity has something your empire will never understand. And what is that? Hope, Kane replied simply. Even at our darkest hour, we hope, and we fight for that hope. The Empress's expression hardened. Hope will not save you from my fleet, Commander. You have made your choice. Prepare to witness the extinction of your species. The transmission cut off. All ships, battle stations, Kane ordered. Civilian shelters to maximum security protocols. And send the signal to Admiral Zhang. Operation Nightfall is a go. Operation Nightfall. The Solon fleet advanced with mechanical precision. Their crystalline ships formed a three-layered sphere around Bastion 7, closing the net with methodical efficiency. Commander Ilara Kane watched from the bridge of the UES Defiant, her expression betraying none of the turmoil within. Enemy weapons powering up, Lieutenant Chen reported. There'll be an optimal firing range in 3 minutes. Kane nodded, her fingers unconsciously touching the quantum communicator in her pocket. There had been only one brief message from Admiral Zhang. Nightfall is in flight. Hold the line. All ships, take final positions, Kane ordered. Prepare defensive fire pattern Omega-3. The 15 remaining human vessels moved into their assigned positions, a desperate formation designed to shield the station's most vulnerable sections. They were hopelessly outgunned, but every minute they could delay the enemy would give the Nightfall fleet more time to arrive, if it existed at all. 90 seconds to optimal firing range, Chen announced. Kane took a deep breath. All batteries, target the lead vessels. Fire on my command. The bridge fell silent save for the soft beeping of consoles and the hum of the ship's systems. Through the viewport, the first wave of Solon fighters approached, sleek, dart-like vessels that glittered like diamond shards against the void. Launch defensive fighter screen, Kane ordered. Bastion 7's remaining squadron of 30 fighters streaked from the launch bays, outnumbered 10-1 by the approaching Solon craft. 60 seconds. Kane opened a channel to all human vessels. This is Commander Kane. Today we fight not just for our own survival, but for the future of our species. Every second we hold out matters. Remember Earth. Remember your families. Remember what we're fighting for. 30 seconds. The first Solon energy beams lanced out brilliant spears of coherent light that sliced through space toward Bastion 7's defensive perimeter. Evasive maneuvers. All batteries. Fire at will. The human fleet erupted in desperate counterfire, rail guns accelerating projectiles to relativistic speeds, missile salvos blooming from launch tubes. The space around Bastion 7 became a chaotic storm of weapons fire, explosions, and maneuvering vessels. 3 Solon fighters disappeared in flashes of light as human railgun rounds found their targets. A moment later, the UES Marathon, a retrofitted mining vessel, erupted in flames as a Solon beam weapon bisected its engine section. Marathon is down, Chen reported grimly, picking up escape pods. The battle intensified as the Solan capital ships moved into range, their primary weapons glowing with building energy. Kane knew those weapons well, devastating projectors that could slice through Earth's strongest armor like paper. Incoming transmission. Communications Officer Park announced. It's the Empress again. On screen, Kane ordered, adjusting her uniform. Empress Vexa appeared, her mercury eyes gleaming with what might have been satisfaction. Behind her, Kane could see the Solan Command Center, officers moving with practiced efficiency. Commander Kane, your resistance is admirable but futile. 3 of your vessels are already destroyed. The rest will follow within minutes. Surrender now, and I will spare your civilian population. Kane checked the tactical display. The Solan fleet had formed exactly as Colonel Rivera had predicted, their capital ships moving into a concentrated attack formation, support vessels forming a protective screen around them. Your offer is noted, Empress, Kane replied, stalling for time. But I'm afraid I must decline. Vexa's iridescent skin rippled with color. You humans are truly incomprehensible. Is your pride worth the lives of your people? Kane allowed herself a small smile. It's not pride, Empress. It's timing. Confusion flickered across Vexa's alien features. Meaning what precisely? Now, Kane barked into her comm unit. At that exact moment, space itself seemed to tear open as 12 massive jump points formed in a sphere around the Solan fleet. From each rupture emerged a formation of ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Massive, angular vessels of matte black material that absorbed rather than reflected light, their profiles reminiscent of prehistoric Earth predators. The Nightfall fleet had arrived. What is this? Vexa demanded, her composure cracking for the first time. This, Kane replied calmly, is hope. The tactical display updated, showing 200 human supercarriers emerging from the jump points, their positions creating a perfect encirclement of the Solan fleet. Each carrier deployed swarms of fighters, creating a cloud of small craft that outnumbered the Solan fighters by 5-1. All Nightfall vessels. This is Admiral Zhang. A new voice announced over the comm. Target Solan capital ships. Fire at will. The space around Bastion 7 erupted in a symphony of destruction as the Nightfall fleet opened fire. Their weapons were unlike anything seen before, not the conventional railguns and missile systems of the regular human fleet, but focused gravitational beams that warped space itself, crushing Solan vessels like paper in an invisible fist. On the view screen, Empress Vexa's expression shifted from confusion to shock, and then to fear as reports flooded in from her commanders. Impossible, she whispered. Your species was defeated. Your technology was inferior. You made 2 critical mistakes, Empress, Kane replied. First, you assumed that because you'd broken our military, you'd broken our spirit. Second, you gave us time. Time to learn, to adapt, to reverse engineer your own technology, and improve upon it. The Solan fleet attempted to regroup, their crystalline ships maneuvering desperately to break the encirclement. But the Nightfall vessels moved with impossible precision, maintaining their deadly sphere around the enemy. Solan flagship is attempting to jump out, Chen reported. Admiral Zhang is moving to intercept, Kane observed, watching the tactical display as the largest Nightfall carrier broke formation to pursue the Empress's vessel. You cannot do this, Vexa insisted, her voice losing its melodic quality as panic set in. The Solan Empire has stood for 10,000 years. We have conquered 100 species. And yet, Kane replied, you never encountered humans before. The Empress's flagship shuddered as gravitational beams caught it in their grip, preventing its escape. Around it, the once mighty Solan fleet was being systematically dismantled, crystalline ships shattering under the onslaught of human technology. Your terms, Empress, Kane asked, echoing Vexa's earlier ultimatum. The alien ruler stared in disbelief. You would show mercy after what we did to Earth. Kane's expression hardened. Earth was our cradle, but not our only home. Humanity will rebuild. As for mercy, that depends entirely on you. Unconditional surrender, withdrawal from all human territories, and reparations for the worlds you destroyed. Those are our terms. Behind Vexa, alarms blared as her ship's systems began to fail. The Empress looked around, then back at Kane, her mercury eyes unreadable. "The Solan Empire surrenders," she said finally, the words seeming to physically pain her. Kane nodded. A wise decision. The battle wound down as Solan vessels powered down their weapon systems and signaled surrender. The Nightfall fleet maintained its positions, gravitational weapons trained on the remaining enemy ships. Admiral Zhang's face appeared on a separate comm channel. "Commander Kane, Bastion 7 is secured. The Solan threat has been contained." Kane allowed herself a moment of relief. "Thank you, Admiral. It seems Operation Nightfall was a success." "Only the beginning," Zhang replied. "With the technology we've developed, humanity can reclaim what we've lost and more. The stars are open to us now." As the immediate threats subsided, Kane left the bridge of the Defiant and returned to Bastion 7's observation deck. The view had changed dramatically. Where once the Solan fleet had dominated, now the massive shapes of the Nightfall carriers floated like guardian leviathans, their black hulls stark against the nebulous glow. A small voice broke her reverie. "Commander Kane." She turned to find Lily, the young girl with the drawing, standing at the entrance to the observation deck, her guardian close behind. "Lily," Kane smiled. "You should be in the shelters." "I told you we would win," the girl said, beaming. "Just like in my picture." Kane knelt down and pulled the child's drawing from her pocket. "You were right, Lily. Humans win." The girl studied the massive Nightfall carriers visible through the viewport, her eyes wide with wonder. "What happens now, Commander?" Kane followed her gaze to the fleet that had saved humanity. A fleet built on secret and hope when all seemed lost. Beyond them lay the stars, and a future suddenly bright with possibility. "Now," she said softly, "we rebuild, we heal, and then, Lily, we explore."